Hey, what up, guys? Coming in this morning with the not a what's next, I'm sorry. This is the aftermath of Canelo Kovalev, that fight. After the big super fights, I think I'm going to give it a week and actually talk about kind of the impact and how the fight went down, in my opinion, overall, because these are the big fights, and I don't feel when I do my what's next and my weekend recaps, because there's obviously a whole card I'm talking about or multiple cards I'm talking about, I don't think I really give it my full-on opinion. And when I do my what's next, it's more about, what their options are next that they're doing. So, I don't feel I'm able to give kind of my full opinion on what I felt about the fight in general. So I'm going to start doing this. Like I said, this is called the Canelo versus Kovalev Aftermath. That's the Aftermath series. This is what it's going to be called now. So just my opinion on the fight. It was a good action fight. It went about what you really expected it to go. And I think the way Canelo kind of planned it out, you got to understand, him and his people are very smart, in how they're attacking a fight like this. I think people are giving Canelo too much shit for whether it was fixed. One, there's no way you can fix a guy getting knocked out like that. I'm sorry, you just can't fix that. Secondly, Canelo did take advantage of the fact that he put Kovalev on 10 weeks notice, for this fight, because Kovalev only had 10 weeks in between fights. That was it, and he had a tough fight with Anthony Yarde, who's an undefeated, up-and-comer, back in August. And I think Canelo planned it out for a short rest period for a 36-year-old guy like Kovalev, who has never been the most physically fit guy in terms of conditioning. The guy, or stamina, I should say. The guy comes in shape. He's always been a knockout artist his whole career, so maybe he's not the most prepared for a full, hard 12 rounds, especially on short notice. And at his age, I think Canelo planned this one out, But what I want to know is, what's the difference between this and what Pacquiao and Mayweather used to do when they used to have guys cut weight, extra weight, and they used to fuck with the weight limits. At least Canelo didn't do that. I thought Canelo was going to make Kovalev cut a few pounds and meet him at a catch weight, but still in the light heavyweight division. Canelo didn't do that. He could have, and he didn't. Canelo came in at 174.5, maybe a little more than that, the way he weighed in. Canelo filled out the weight really good. He's not a tall guy at 175, obviously, so Kovalev was a lot bigger than him. But Canelo is a technician in the ring. He's very smart. He throws the right punches at the right time, and you haven't seen Canelo struggle very much, against Triple G. He didn't have to struggle very much. They were both tough fights, but I think Canelo the first time struggled. You could say he lost that fight. I'm fine with it. Second fight, he fought his ass off. He controlled the tempo, and I thought he won that. And, a lot of people are I think they're not giving him the credit that he deserves, and I think Canelo could be, pound for pound, the best fighter in the world right now. Because of all that he's done. So, I really don't like the reports I'm reading about how, he made him cut weight, and or how, he fought him on short notice and Kovalev was old. Fuck that shit. Kovalev was number one at 175. And at the very best, you could argue number two. But Kovalev, just in the last 3 years, because I am very big on what you've done in the last 3 years in boxing. Kovalev beat fucking Andre Ward, pound for pound the best, and one of the best of all time. He beat him 3 years ago. He got robbed, The rematch, he was winning that fight. Ward landed some very questionable. Yes, Ward worked the body. I think Ward would have ended up beating Kovalev that night. But Ward is an all-time great. He landed some very questionable low blows that I felt helped him secure the win in the round that he won it in. So you cannot just completely, rule out Kovalev and chalk him up to be just this old dog. He's not that guy. And it really pisses me off that he gets that label. So, Kovalev was very legit, very solid fighter. And here's the other thing, guys. You know, talk shit about Canelo all you want, but fucking Kovalev got $12 million to fight Canelo. 12 million, guys. That's not fucking peanuts, you know? That is a big payday. Let me put it to you in this perspective. Manny Pacquiao is probably still the biggest name active fighter on the planet right now, outside of Canelo, right? Manny only made 11 million for his fight with Keith Thurman, who's a big name welterweight. That shows you, one, how big of a name Kovalev is to demand and get $12 million to fight Canelo on 10 weeks notice. You know, that's fucking huge, guys. That's not peanuts. That's big, big, big time money right there in boxing. So what would you do if you're Kovalev, you know? And Kovalev's a future Hall of Famer. I felt like he came out and fought his ass off, and he did well. You got to give Canelo his credit, too. Did he have a little extra advantage? Probably. Yeah, I think so. But, you know, you get in the ring for a reason. Once you get hit, there's a reason. Sergey Kovalev, in my opinion, maybe he wasn't his absolute 100% best. Maybe he's not in his prime anymore. But he was a world champion, a very legitimate world champion, top of the division, right at the top of the division. And when you're getting hit by a guy like Kovalev, at least for fucking 3-4 rounds, he's hitting you at his best. And here's the one thing that doesn't fade on a fighter is his power. His power doesn't fade. His power doesn't get old. You know, can he hit you with the same punches he hit you with before with the same timing? Probably not. But the power does not fade. So Kovalev was hitting Canelo with his best shots, and he was at least, you know, even though he's on 10 weeks rest, at least was at his best that he could be for 3 or 4 rounds. So Canelo got the best of Kovalev for 3 or 4 rounds, withstood it, walked through it after coming up 2 weight classes, you know, and did that. And you got to remember, this is by far the biggest guy he's ever fought. And this is only the 3rd time of Canelo fighting above 160. And the other 2 times were against Julio Cesar Chavez, maybe the most out-of-condition fighter ever, you know, and against, what's his name, Rocky Fielding, some absolute nobody that got lucky to win the world title that he won. You know, he pulled off an upset prior to Canelo fighting him last year. So Canelo deserves a lot of credit. Sergey Kovalev deserves credit for taking that chance to what he did. And, you know, it was a good night of boxing, guys. It was history made. Canelo winning a championship in a 4th weight class. So that's it. That's the Canelo Kovalev aftermath. You know, I think Canelo's pound for pound, and I think Kovalev is a Hall of Famer. I'm sure of it. I'm guaranteeing Kovalev goes to the Hall of Fame. So that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed this. True Boxing, you've been hit with the truth.